Right, ceremony 30 for me last night. Incomplete because I went to bed at 1. Just one of those things, not knocking the shaman, the Taita in any way. But for me, personally, with the experiences I've had in different places, I didn't get any effect. Except feeling just marginally ill, which is a good indication for me, which goes to show that I'm a lot cleaner than I thought I was internally, because I normally always get stomach problems. And I only had a little bit of discomfort and then felt a little bit sick, which is just, amazing. So at one point, I did walk over to the toilet block and just thought, you know what, I'm just going to vomit. I'll just stick my fingers down my throat. Had a bit of a hard time, but I did get, quite a bit of, got a fair amount of ayahuasca out. Some of it did go through to a tiny little bit of diarrhea, which was really good because when I got back to the room later, it was just liquid. It was just water. So again, even having some yogurt during the day, it goes to show that my internals must be very clean compared to obviously past experiences. Damn mosquitoes. Um, so from that perspective, I'm quite pleased. But really, it was about sort of confirming what I already suspected, which is I've done enough ayahuasca now for a while. So I hadn't done any for 2 months, but the raw ayahuasca I did with Mira and Yana was the last experience I had, which again, you don't expect to have any visuals or anything because it's raw ayahuasca with no chacruna in it. This mix was quite sweet. I thought it was going to be quite visual. Apparently it was for a couple of people, but I didn't see them this morning because I don't like long ceremonies. I don't think they're necessary. It's damn mosquito. With like the other traditions in Peru that start at 7 and they're done by 2 in the morning, which if they're sufficiently strong, you can get it over and done with. That's the reality of it. I don't think you need to have long protracted ceremonies that go from 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night by the time or 8:30 by the time they've done an initial energy clearance, which was really interesting here. I must admit, I did like one of the facilitators was playing like a didgeridoo, and he was really good at it, keeping that tone going, and he was walking around everyone and swirling it around. And it was incredible. It was like the motor of a UFO with all these resonant pitch shifts and everything. And it was really strong as he brought it around your body. You could feel it in the floor. And this was before taking ayahuasca, just as an energy cleansing, just after a meditative kind of body searching relaxation exercise for half an hour, which was really nice. There was about 10 people in the group, all first timers except me. Mostly women. It was just me and one other guy from Norway, his girlfriend, and 3 Spanish girls and whatever. But apparently they had quite a deep experience. But I didn't see anybody this morning because I didn't get up till 10:30. I was tired last night. I had a bit of a headache. Came on before the ceremony, probably dehydration, headache. My back wasn't too comfortable, but nothing worse than nowhere near as bad as it's ever been before. But I just didn't feel that it was going to happen for me. And I know ayahuasca well enough. I've been in that similar circumstance before where you know that unless you take another cup, that it's possible to going to have visions by this time. By the time the third cup was offered, they said they'd offer 3 hours into the ceremony. So now we're talking nearly 1 in the morning. And I just thought, you know what? I don't want to go through it, to be honest. I'm just not really interested. If I don't get any deep connection or a transcendental connection with Mama, I don't want to lie here till 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd rather just go to bed in this comfortable room and have the space while it's a very peaceful place here for the first time in Colombia, to be honest. So it was just worth more to me to get to sleep and just have space on my own. So I came back, had some fruit, some yogurt, drank some water, and went to sleep and had a really good kip. Woke up feeling really good. So I was glad I had some ayahuasca. Um, it did make me feel quite just really pleasant and relaxed this morning. My eczema hadn't flared up, which is it's been the last couple of days. It's still there a little bit, but the main message really is I just didn't think I don't think I need any more ayahuasca for a while. I just don't think I'm going to get any more out of it at this particular stage in the journey. I and I my intuition's telling me that it's more about doing other medicines now. Probably I could have done Cambo this morning, but I didn't want to get up at 8 and go down, or 7 in the morning and just go down after the ceremony and probably be the only one taking it anyway. Um, so it's not been what I intended, but I'm happy with it. The main message, as I said, was just not. The last couple of times I haven't had a transcendental link to Mama, and it's for me it's just not worth it. Now, there's a couple of possibly contentious points here, because this is the first time for me in Colombia, which is the Putumayo River region, which is South Colombia. Tradition for ayahuasca. Now, again, I don't know, but the Carlos, the Taita, did stress, you got to have no expectations. People come here and with other experience of different ayahuasca traditions, and I was like, I'm not here to judge, but at the end of the day, I have got my own experiences. I didn't feel that for me that there was the capability of generating the plant spiritual influences here. That's just my personal opinion. But just because it didn't happen, it doesn't mean it doesn't for other people. So, I'm being unfair about that. But for me, I just had the intuitive feeling that even if I took the second cup, there wasn't a plant spiritual presence. I can't say that I enjoyed the Icaros because they are more like harsh chants. They're not particularly pleasant sounding. No doubt they have a function for clearing bad energy, and I assume it was the Taita about halfway before we got offered, who went off to the fireplace because they built a fire in another field, who went off there because somebody, which can only be him because nobody else was that sick, one of the guys, which is one of the facilitators, was vomiting his guts up really bad. So probably sucking out a lot of bad energy from the room in general, because obviously everyone's first timers. There's going to be a lot of negative energy in people who come from the West, or people who are there for the first time because they haven't been cleaned yet, to a degree. So, but everybody else did get up at various points quite late, 3 hours into the ceremony before the second cup was offered. Quite a few people went off and vomited. So the ayahuasca was obviously strong enough to do a perfectly good cleaning session. I said, but I don't know the effect on everyone else as far as whether they got, had visual experiences or how deep they went, because I didn't get a chance to talk to them. So, to be honest, I really wasn't interested because, for me, I've got my own opinions I've been through it all myself. I know how ayahuasca can work for me in lots of different ways. And last night I just thought, I don't want to do this. Not because of particular discomfort, but when I did start to feel a little bit sick, I just thought, I don't want to do this for another, by now, another 7 hours. And without the visual connection to keep you occupied and get information, then I didn't want to lie on a mat for 7 hours when I could go to bed. So that was the main reason. And I was happy with that decision. I was actually glad when I got back to the room. I thought, did I make the right decision? And I thought, well, if you feel comfortable doing it, yes, you did. So, and I don't regret it this morning. I felt really good this morning. I was glad to have some Aya in my system. But as far as going anything into transcendental stuff, I don't think there's any messages for me that I haven't already been told that I've probably been ignoring, about the way I should conduct myself, or, go further into a more spiritual aspect of my life, which I just don't in the general day-to-day practicalities. Got my feet too firmly on the ground, especially in South America, where you need to have them, as far as I'm concerned, because I was chatting to the Australian girl here, the heavily pregnant girl. She's great. She's 30. We had a really good chat. She's just got a load of mushrooms today. So I'm hoping to buy some. She can put them in pill form for me, so I can start microdosing. They do have a mushroom ceremony today, but I don't think I'll be invited, even if I wanted to, which I'm not sure about. Especially after walking out, got the facilitator to ask. I said, look, could I just, go to bed, not finish? And he said, well, oh, the facilitator said, oh, it'd be nice if you could stay. He said, oh, do you feel uncomfortable? And I said, well, my back's not too great. He knew about my back, but it wasn't that bad. I just didn't want to be there. But anyway, going back to the mushrooms, she's got a delivery of mushrooms. I can't remember what they're called now. And she's quite experienced with mushrooms. So she said she'd help me out if I wanted to stay, a couple more days and actually do a little trip here. She'd oversee it because it's a nice place. You want to be in the jungle. But they're doing a ceremony today, but I don't think I'll do it because she reckons that you should have at least 3 days between ayahuasca and doing mushrooms. There can be a sort of an effect conflict there. I don't want to risk, having some kind of weird bad trip with even in this environment. I'd rather microdose first to get my body used to psilocybin and then find out where my actual trip threshold is and do it there, because I'm particularly wary of mushrooms. I treat them with respect. I mean, in my view, and talking to other people, that kind of trip, psilocybin trip, can be just as powerful as ayahuasca in many ways. But if you do it during the day, some people really like it. You can go really deep. It can be very, very colorful, especially in the jungle. Imagine the plants here; it's amazing. But I want to be 100% sure as I can be, that the environment, the setting is right for that, because in future, if I can buy enough from this woman for a couple of months traveling, again checking the legalities of mushroom possession in Colombia, although she said she can actually put them in a pill form. She's talking about 2 grams for a trip dose. Obviously depends on the person, but as a rough threshold. And then however many, we're going to discuss quantities and for how long I want to be doing microdosing. And she can put them in a pill form, so that even if I flew, it shouldn't generate, or hopefully it won't generate security issues on planes and things. So we'll see. But worst case, they'll take them off me, but that would be a shame, because it's been difficult enough to try and find mushrooms up to this point after not being able to go on that mushroom sort of whatever it was, mushroom experience in Cancun. So here, at least I know they're available. So hopefully I'll be able to get some contacts of my own to be able to keep a supply in future, so I can continue microdosing, because I think that's the path for me now. That's what my intuition is telling me after my ayahuasca, especially with my memory, my short-term memory, which is shit at my age. And just obviously there's the whole aspects of the anxiety and depression aspects, which I don't suffer from at the moment anyway. But it's good to to experience that positive benefit side of it and get them in my system for me, and see what other benefits. Maybe it'll clear up the final bit of eczema, whatever the root problem of that is, that ayahuasca hasn't been able to, or even San Pedro or Cambo hasn't been able to get to the bottom of that in 10 months. So, maybe I'll get more of an insight on mushrooms. So anyway, that's the end of, I think, my ayahuasca journey. But I don't know, because there's the possibility to go to, which was originally what the plan was to come here, do an ayahuasca ceremony, see if I got any information, and then go to Bogota anyway, to the shaman who lives 2 hours outside of Bogota, who stay for 3 days, as he said, see if you like it. And that's this place where you can stay for as long as you like, months if you want. But it's more hands-on. You get to actually produce the ayahuasca brew. You're shown how to do that. You help with it. with the preparation. But it's very, very basic living in the jungle, which I kind of flip-flop on my ability to sort of stick out, really, because, the mosquitoes piss you off, and I'm kind of used to it by now. They don't bother me as bad as they did last year, but that's still a pain. And then sometimes, depending on mood, I just think, oh, fuck, I don't want to go back to the jungle and live rough but I think, I know I have to do it in some ways, because I certainly don't want to leave South America, especially with no idea of where to go next or what to do anyway. Back to the West, I'm certainly not going to go back into a job-related scenario just yet. It's not possible. But I certainly wouldn't want to leave the opportunity of living a little bit more rough in the jungle, because it's more like a survival kind of environment, living with the shaman and 20 other people or more in a more like a little community where everyone, you live off the jungle, basically, is preparing fruit and, gathering fruit and preparing food and preparing ayahuasca and doing ayahuasca ceremonies. But while that opportunity is here, only a couple of hours flight to Bogota, or however long it is from Santa Marta, not long, a couple of hours, and then 2 hours drive by taxi to go and see this guy at relatively cheap cost, certainly by retreat standards. Anyway, this is a long enough video, which I'll have to reduce before I send it. To mark ceremony number 30, and who knows? You just don't know. I don't know whether... I'm not really keen. I don't want to do any more at the moment. I just don't think it's happening. I don't think it's the right, or I'm to get anything out of it. I just don't think Mama's got anything to tell me, or anything to learn, that she's going to bother trying to teach me anymore at this point, because I've been a bit of a bad student in terms of following some things that I know I should have done, like meditation or sticking to diets and stuff. But having said that, a certain amount of the components is doing what you think is right for you, and especially when you're traveling, you can only eat what's available. You can't go to some of these small towns. It's not so easy to, you're not going to find an ayahuasca diet to stay clean, and you just have to take what's available. So, but I still eat pretty much okay, providing you can get fried chicken and rice with some salad and a batido here and there. And the milk doesn't, I've always been a milk drinker. It doesn't seem to be negatively affect certainly ayahuasca, because I was been drinking milk right up till today, till yesterday before the ayahuasca ceremony. So the day before, I didn't have coffee yesterday. I just had some yogurt about lunchtime. My stomach was really good. So, I can't be doing that much detrimental not being on an ayahuasca diet between ayahuasca ceremonies. I eat quite a lot of bananas most days, apples occasionally. So, and try to have at least one meal a day. So I think I'm doing all right. Certainly could be a lot worse. It could be more like Loja, where it's just that when you have chicken, they're more like fast food places, and when they roast them, they put quite a lot of condiment stuff on, and they're really salty. And then you get papas fritas, and they're lucky if you get a piece of lettuce with it. It's a bit of a joke. But generally, in here, around places here, around Santa Marta and Taganga, the food's not been too bad at all, provided you ask for it, But anyway, that's ceremony 30. Was it a letdown? No, it wasn't a disappointment. In some ways it was, but it wasn't in others. So I'm neither happy nor unhappy. I'm generally happy overall. I feel quite good today, so that's the main thing.